Gervasi.
Gervasi.
Gervasi, that's right. You would think I would know. Pellicciata is like hard enough. So I actually met Julie. I don't know if you remember when we met, but we met at the Malvern Library.
Yes.
Years ago. And I will have to say that when I met Julie, I was like, wow, this girl knows what she wants and she is going for it. And your presence, your confidence, your positive attitude just won me over from the moment you stood up and like preached what your goals were. And I was like, I need some of that. I need fill up my bucket with that girl. So it's been an honor to watch Julie and just see her personal growth journey more than anything. I will be most proud of that for you because I've seen you just portray that and spill over and give back to others like you're doing tonight. And I want to say, first off, thank you so much for doing this for our team. Many of you have had the opportunity to hear a little bit of what Julie did at the Pajama Regional, her sorting versus selling. So tonight we're going to hear some of that, and she said she's got other few things that she's going to kind of weave in and out. But Julie is a national marketing director with the company. She was honored in our fall conference and is recently a 24 Club national marketing director, which is fantastic. And I know she'll be 39 Club in Austin. So she is a powerhouse in her business. I have just been in awe of everything that you shared over social media or, with your team members that I've had the privilege of doing some calls with. You just have such a great following, and I believe people are following you because of you, because they really, really want to join this mission with you and lock arms and inspire as many people as they can. So Julie is a mom. She has a beautiful daughter, and her husband, Rocco, is an amazing doctor, and she is a nurse. So Julie is going to take us through tonight really how to effectively communicate with people when it comes to Juice Plus, and also how to maybe have a conversation with somebody that isn't open about Juice Plus and what you should be saying in response to that. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Julie.
Awesome. That was a really lovely introduction. And, Jess, you're absolutely right. What changes and what has lit my business on fire has been when I've changed. When I have had the courage to keep taking steps in my own life and my own personal growth journey, because I truly believe, like my girl Ashley Hudson and I say, there is a devil for every level, and you really have to raise the bar and raise your limiting, your what is that word? Like that limiting belief that you have. And so yes, we hit 24 Club, and now the leap is to 39 Club. So I know that if I want to hit 39 Club, I need to become the person that is that 39 Club member. And so wherever you are in your business, if you're brand new, if you're a DD, if you're a VF, you're in the right place at the right time. You're going to hear the information that you need to hear, because what you have to share with people is extremely powerful. And I don't want you to cheapen that for 1 second, because if people are truly buying you, it's important that you stay postured. And so tonight, that's what we're going to talk about. Not sitting up straight in your chair, but really believing strongly about what you have, regardless of outside opinion, right? So how many of you are parents on this call? Many of you have kids. Like if someone said to you, you don't love your kid, right away you would say, of course I love my kid, and you're crazy, for saying that. It doesn't matter what they would say. Oh, your kid did this, your kid did that. You would love your kid. You would stay postured about how strongly you believe in your child. Nobody could sway you otherwise. And this is really what we're going to kind of get into talking about, because so many times I see distributors really let the prospect run the show. And that's where I see people get into problems. And so that does come from confidence, and confidence comes from repetition. So if you're not confident, I was not confident in the beginning as well. I remember telling my story with like my heart beating out of my chest, not remembering what I said. But the more you share, the more repetition. I mean, how does a baseball player get fantastic at pitching? He pitches 1,000 balls. Repetition, in my opinion, is not insanity. It is how you master something. So tonight, I'm really excited to train with you and hopefully give you the permission to rock your business with confidence around our word of the day, which is posture. So posturing allows for the prospect to operate on your terms and your rules. It's complete confidence. It's swagger, if you've ever heard that word. When you're attracted to a guy, a lot of times it's because he has that, je ne sais quoi, that swagger, and that's what makes him attractive. I know that I fell in love with my husband because he was a little nerdy. He really is a little bit nerdy, and it was his swagger and his posture that he wasn't going to change for anyone. He was confident in who he was that attracted me to him. So in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to show you why the psychology of showing up with proper posture, of the I don't need them, but they need me, is so important. Even if you're not believing it in this moment, it's just important that you almost fake it till you make it. Remember, the prospect is not the prize here. You are the prize. Even if you have that brand new business, this is the mindset that we need to operate from. So in the beginning, I didn't have that posture, but I knew that my sponsors who were in their 70s had made it to the top level in that company. And I knew that that what they had built was strong and stable. And I almost operated off of their posture at that point. If they could do it, then I could do it. And looking back, I'm so happy that they trained me in that way, to be totally proud of what I'm doing. Because there are those instances you have where you run into people that make you question yourself. And that's why it's so important to kind of come back and realize, I share something that seriously changes lives, not just from a health perspective, but my life certainly looked different 4 years ago. I'm a 39-year-old retired nurse, and it was only because somebody used their voice to give me a choice. And if you don't use yours, you're not giving somebody a choice. So don't take that away from somebody. Allow them to make their own choice. And many times, and I think the statistic that I've been told is that most people purchase after the 8th exposure, and many people give up after the 3rd. So go the extra distance for someone until they say to you, no, I'm not interested. They could still be open. It took me 8 months to be open to learning about Juice Plus, but it wasn't because I wasn't interested in it. It was because there was noise in my life. And at that particular point, my life was working for me until it wasn't, until I was downsized from my hospital, until I was a brand new mom with no career, until I wanted mom care over daycare. And then the Juice Plus opportunity was very attractive to me. So you never know when someone's going to have a transition in their life, and you don't want to be a one and doneer, as Ali Schneider says. You want to be that person that they think about because they've had such a great experience with you. So when things are too easy, people don't want it. They don't value it. If people are throwing things at you, do you want some spray of perfume? Whoa, don't want that. But if someone's like, there's only one spritz left of this $350,000 perfume, it's like, oh, I'm interested in trying that. It has value in that particular point. But if things are too easy to get, people become suspicious or they get skeptical. And if they have to do a little work, or the opportunity is kept at a distance, often that makes them curious. So, and I gave this example in the PJ Regional. If someone was going to sell you a car, sight unseen, and you have to buy a car today, and someone said, I have 2 cars, one is $200 and one is $5,000, which one would you choose? Which one would make you feel more comfortable? I certainly wouldn't be comfortable driving around in a $200 car with, my child in the back. I would probably feel better if I thought that the $5,000 car had more value. That's just my perception. I would definitely choose that car because I would be wondering what's wrong with the $200 car. So if something seems too good to be true, or it's too easy, our brains, they just naturally, unconsciously start to throw off these alerts. People treasure and value things that they have to work at. And so many network marketers that I see, they're desperate, they're needy. They keep messaging the same person over and over and over again, expecting some different result. They want to push their products on people. They want what's in it for them. I need this, I need that, instead of really digging into the pain points of their prospect. So if you're acting desperate, that will give the impression that you're not successful, even if you are. and especially those who have had interactions with network marketers before. So let's make a shift to taking that confidence. Remember, confidence is posture, about how we can stop that selling process and start sorting through the people that we're meeting to qualify them to see if it is the right time for them, if they are the right person for your team. So today we're going to talk about those 3 simple but very powerful phrases that will instantly make you a better recruiter. And if you start to implement them into your business today, I know it sounds too good to be true, but really it is. And it's going to come from that confidence, that place where you see when I'm talking to you, I'm not talking in a monotone voice. I'm not giving you no energy. I'm smiling, I'm animated, I'm active, I'm modeling. That is attractive to people. So we're going to talk about recruiting today, and we're going to talk about prospecting. And our goal for you today is to be able to generate more leads in your business to help you recruit more people into your business. And I know that that's what all of us want, because when we have more teammates, that means that our business has more momentum. So if you implement these 3 phrases that I'm going to share with you, I pretty much guarantee you instantly that you're going to start seeing better results. So let's start covering some of the basics of prospecting. So it's really critical that you understand your role in the process of approaching someone with the opportunity, product, or service that you're selling, right? There are 2 very distinctive but separate parts of the approach, and I see them clumped together all of the time. Learn to be comfortable in the uncomfortable place. It's those moments where you just sit and you wait for the response, and you wait for the response, that are the most important, instead of alleviating that by texting somebody right away and losing that posture. So part number 1, and this is the first thing that I teach my team after we've gotten their virtual office set up and we figure out what their goals are: the invitation. It is the primary thing that you need to be teaching your new teammates. That is going to be their job. The second part is always the presentation, and that has to be done in a separate step. The biggest mistake I see that people are making who are struggling with prospecting is that they don't understand what I just shared with you. Here's what they do. They combined both steps, the presentation and the invitation, in the same step. And I've seen it. I've seen some of my teammates send a message this long to somebody, and it's this vomit, this verbal vomit of exactly what they want and whatever. I will tell you what, I've never responded to one of those messages. I've been prospected by so many different people, and I think to myself, this is why you're not successful. Who wants that? Somebody, you want to engage with somebody, not be sent a 3-paragraph, Facebook Messenger about how the great leggings or this great product, or nobody wants that. Let's get real. How would you want to be approached? And we've all been there before. Absolutely. We pique somebody's interest in our opportunity, and the minute they even show that slightest amount of interest, we totally pounce on them like a tiger, and we go right into our presentation. We keep talking and talking and talking, and we basically talk people out of wanting to get close to us, wanting to share what we have. We chase them away, and the prospect starts to become sold, and they also feel like they could never do what you're doing. And so they're consciously or unconsciously cataloging everything that you're doing to think, could I do that? Is that something that I'd even want to do? So remember that. You have to understand that the moment that you open your mouth to a prospect, they are evaluating what you're doing and saying based off of what they are seeing and hearing. So that's what happens when you combine both steps together. When you make yourself the message and not the messenger, when you don't use a third-party tool for the presentation, like a video or an expert or a connection call, you're making yourself the experts. And many people don't feel comfortable in that place. That's why our company will always say, be the messenger, not the message. Or excuse me, yes, be the messenger, not the message. That's right. So we must use a third-party resource. So just like Jessica was saying, I'm a nurse, my husband's a physical therapist. Could we talk to somebody about how Juice Plus could help with exercise? We definitely could, but that's not super duplicatable for everyone. So it just makes sense that I would reach out and say, hey, Jess, could you do a connection call with me? Because then I take that pressure off of me, and I use Jess for that third-party validation. And I love that because that's duplicatable, right? Jess is the expert. I'm not the expert in that place. My team knows that, hey, if I have a high level athlete, I'm going to ask someone who is the expert for a connection call instead of trying to send them every Dr. Phillips video that they've ever seen. So you must use third-party resources when you're presenting your opportunity or your product to a prospect. So anything but you. Remember that, anything but you. So your job is pretty simple. You invite the prospect to view a third-party tool in a separate step, and here's how you're going to do it. It's going to show them that this is a simple business that anyone can do, and they are listening and they are watching, and the more difficult that you make it, the more you talk, the more you try to be the expert, the less successful that you're going to be at recruiting people. So today, we're going to go through this process. We're going to focus on the first part, the invitation. And here's what you need to know about the inviting. It is the gateway skill in network marketing profession, like I shared. It's the first thing I teach my team. So if you master this invitation process, you can literally stink at many aspects of the business. But if you, like, I'm not a numbers person. I know the numbers that I need to know, but if you ask me like how to calculate someone's POB, I'm a 24 club national marketing director and I still don't know how to do that, and that's okay. There's a lot better things that I can put my energy in, but there's people like Kathy Crockett and Tammy Lamison that love numbers that I can box really quickly and they can help me figure that out. But if you can be a great inviter, if you can be the best inviter on your team, you can make this a profession. You can retire yourself. You can build a great team. You can be there for everything that your kids do if you can be a great inviter. And the reason that I say this is that if you can consistently have people looking at your third-party tools, you will always find people that are interested. At the end of the day, this is a numbers game, and there will always be other people that will be able to help you develop in the areas of things that you're not so good at. So if you stink at inviting, however, you're in trouble, because it won't matter if you're a great presenter. It won't matter if you can run all the numbers. It won't matter if you're a great trainer or you're wonderful at customer care if you can't get customers and you can't get people to take a look at what you're doing. So my goal today, when we are done, is I want to make sure that you are well on your way to being able to master the invitation process. So let's take a look at these 3 phrases that I use all the time. You've heard them many times in different combinations, but this is the one that has been effective for me. And that's helped me to go wide. So in the 3 months leading up to Tampa, I was able to bring on 8 frontline new reps. And in the 3 months leading up to, where did we just go? We went to Northern California, Sacramento. I think I brought on like 7 frontline new reps. And so I say this because, one, I think it's important for leaders to continue to do the do. And I'm certain that if you add these phrases into your everyday language, you will start to see a dramatically higher percentage of people who will actually take a look at what you're doing. And if you can increase your exposures, you will naturally increase your enrollments, and that's simple math. And if you're looking for, more verbiage, Get Over Your Dang Self is one of the best books that I've read for that. I have it on audiobook. I say read it, highlight it. Rami Newstad was a very successful attorney, but she was able to master connecting with women and basically talking to them as if she was looking for someone just like them and recruiting them into their business because they could visualize themselves in what she was saying. So here we go. Here's the first phrase. It may or may not be for you. And I'm telling you guys, this is such a powerful phrase because it psychologically gives somebody an out. And that's very important. I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase high pressure conversations. Kurt Beaver talks about it all the time. If you're talking to 2 people, they're high pressure conversations because you need to make something work. But if you're talking to 20 people, they're not high pressure conversations because you have so much that's going on that you're not going to be, okay, did person A get back to me? Did person B get back to me? There's so much pressure on those things. We want to dilute the pressure. So I always say to someone when I'm making a new connection or I'm about to share my excitement about our quad or our 10-day jump start, I will use that phrase. Listen, this may or may not be for you. And it's so powerful and effective because it's letting the prospect know ahead of time that it's okay if they're not interested, that you got a lot going on and it's okay. It's letting them know that there's not going to be any hard feelings if they tell me no. They're not going to feel pressure to purchase from me when I sit down with them. I'm just looking to share information with them. And at the end of the day, that's what we do. We share information with people. We give them a choice by using our voice. And it's going to make them feel more comfortable about getting together with you again. In the back of your prospect's mind, that's important that they feel ease and comfort with you. Number two, would you be open? And I'll tell you what, I'm like becoming such a seasoned national marketing director. I think I asked my husband, like, would you be open to going to the grocery store to pick up some, some wipes or some almond milk or something? Hey, Rock, would you be open? Like, I find myself doing it. I just got actually a refund on my Silverado spa that they charged me for something. And I wrote, would you be open to giving me a refund? And she did it, even though it was against their policy. Like, people want to be seen as open. So when you use these two phrases together, I feel it's extremely powerful. Hey, Jess, I have this event, this, Save a Girl event that I'm really excited about. Now listen, it may or may not be for you, but let me ask you this, Jess. Would you be open to just getting together for a cup of coffee? Or would you be open to just checking out something online and telling me what you like best? Or would you be open to trying this sample and like giving me some feedback? Now, do you see how those two powerful phrases go together? You will find a higher percentage of people will be open or interested if you approach them like I'm teaching you, because they aren't feeling pressure or they aren't feeling like they're being sold because you're giving them an out, or you're saying, oh, it's no big deal, no big deal. Hey, would you check this out? If you don't have time, no big deal. Now, if they say something like this to me, well, Julie, why don't you just tell me like what the event's about? Or why don't you just tell me what it tastes like? Or why don't you just tell me what's on this video? You're not at the presentation stage yet, so don't say anything. You're just in the invitation process. Your commodity in the Juice Plus business is your third-party tool, your information. So if you give that away without creating some kind of urgency or a time for you guys to connect, and you will find yourself ghosted often. Who has found themselves ghosted? I know. Do you know what I'm saying by ghosted? Nobody gets back to you. You've been having this great conversation, and then it's like crickets. They totally fell off the face of the earth. That's what used to happen to me. And I'm like, wow, I'm not posturing myself against these people, so they think that I'm just, out for myself, because I wasn't giving them that psychological out. So listen, from today forward, we're not going to make this mistake anymore. When someone asks us and we go full throttle into the information about Juice Plus, well, what's in it? How much does it cost? That's not our job. We're not there yet. We're not at that step yet. So try to adhere to this process to the best of your ability. And if you mess up, forgive yourself and try again the next time. So never just give your information away. So let's say that Jess says to me, well, why don't you just tell me about everything that's happening? Don't let your prospects start pressuring you. Of course, we always want to come from a place of love and light, but if they start pushing you or they start pressuring you, well, why don't you just tell me? The minute you start explaining everything, you become a salesperson. And I know that's what many of us said we never wanted to become. We don't want to become salespeople, and that's what separates the Juice Plus company from so many others, is because we truly do share what we're already doing. And what you have to realize is that maybe this just isn't a prospect for you. And in the beginning, that was difficult for me because I was so attached to everyone. I was thinking, well, I've already put so much time into this person, or they would be so fantastic. And I was so attached, it was almost like you could see my claw marks in them. But honestly, they were never the things that worked out. When I was so attached to them, when I have non-attachment to things, that's when they start to work out, because this business is about freedom and this business is about energy. And when you are gripping onto something so tight, sometimes we miss all the awesome things that are happening. So keep in mind, we are not trying to sell everyone. We are sorting. And what we are doing is to continue to ask those questions. Well, Jess, like I said earlier, this may or may not be for you. I'm just super excited about this, and I really wanted to share it with you. And I'd love to get your opinion. Would you be open to? So we're going back there. So that's the thing. If you have posture, you don't let your prospect run your business for you. We don't just fold up like a house of cards. We're not giving anything away. Remember, we're not selling everyone. We're sorting through this. Um, but if we have people that are combative, or if we have people that are negative, I mean, people sometimes get very bold behind a computer screen. Let me teach you what I do all the time. Number one, I like to shock them. If someone said something rude to me, a lot of times I'll just say, what do you mean? And I said this to Jess Pellicata the other day. What do you mean? Because many times my brain will take it to a place that is far more negative than they meant, or, I'm defensive, or I'm feeling insecure that day, or something's happening. Sometimes I'll say, what do you mean? And many times I've been surprised that I'm like, oh my gosh, they definitely did not mean what I thought that they meant. Or they'll say something like, is this a pyramid? And I'm like, oh my gosh, they said the P word. And I'll just say, oh, well, what do you mean? And many times it's like, oh, I was interested in doing something like this before, but, I didn't think I would be good at it. And so it wasn't really the question that I was thinking. It was just like them trying to share with me something that they'd experienced before. So I love that. What do you mean? If you're ever in a place where you feel offended, that's a great comeback. What do you mean? So I might say to somebody who is negative or pushing, I take it away. That is my biggest thing. But people have asked me after I did my PGA regional training, well, when do you take it away from them? I'm not taking it away from them if they're just asking questions, but if they're consistently negative, or I'm just getting that vibe that, gosh, this is like pulling teeth for this person, I might say, you know what, Jess, on second thought, this may really not be for you. I just did it the other day with actually a customer of mine. She's just very negative and she keeps asking to join our team. And I said, I just don't think that it's the right timing for you. And now she wants to join our team even more. It's that FOMO. But don't play into anything. Remember, this is your team. This is your business. Anything that's negative or back and forth, take it away from them. That's posture. When you say, I don't think this is for you, watch how differently they react. It's crazy, just like every time. And this leads us to that third phrase. And you've all heard this from Rami or from Eric Worre. If I would you. So let's say you're at the point where, Jess can't connect with you. She's not able to schedule a time, or she scheduled a time and she cancels. And she says something like, can you just give me something to look at? I don't really have time to get on a 3-way call. If that's the point that you're at, keep in mind that I'm still never going to give away information without making an appointment for follow-up. If I give Jess the website, if I just send her a video without scheduling a time, I didn't create that value. I didn't create the urgency. So if you're looking to do this as a profession and not just a hobby, it's important that we create that sense of urgency for someone. And how do we create value? Well, here's how you do it. Jess, if I sent you a short video, would you take a look at it? If I gave you a product sample, would you try it? And here's where most people go wrong. And here's what I used to say. And I didn't realize that it was literally killing my business. I couldn't figure out why I was getting ghosted so much. And I realized that I was all about my agenda. So now I've turned everything around, and I'll say to her something like, hey, Jess, I'm going to give you this and I want you to look at it. And I will ask her before we get off that call, when's a great time for me to follow up. I edify that person. So I would say something like, it's really important for me to hear your feedback. I want to make sure you're on my calendar so I don't forget, what would work best for you Wednesday night or Thursday night. And I always like to give 2 options because the brain naturally wants to say yes or no. So I always try to give 2 options that work in my favor. Would it be best for me to call you on Friday or Saturday afternoon? And then once they give me a time, a commitment time, then and only then will I send the video. And lately, I've been sending the video right when they tell me that they can watch it. So if they say, oh, great, hey, Joel, I can probably watch it this weekend, this afternoon, I might check in with them on Saturday and when they've told me that they can watch the video and say, hey, it's Saturday, now is a good time for you to check it out. I'd love to, and then following up with them right then when it's fresh. And I always want to follow up with them within the first 24 to 48 hours. That's when they're going to be the most excited about this. So many of you will just say, oh, I'll follow up with you later, and are getting ghosted. So just try that. Try that little tweak in your business where you're actually setting a time or sending them a video when they say that they can watch it and not before. Just see if that changes how much of a response that you're getting. When you've actually set up a time to follow up, that's actually a proper follow-up time. And we've all done it. We've all sent lots and lots of videos without getting that confirmation time. But when you've actually gotten a confirmation time, that is a very powerful appointment to add to your agenda. And that's usually going to be one that is more fruitful. So a lot of times what happens, people don't watch the video, or they say they're going to watch it and they don't watch it. And the key is not to get mad, not to actually put any emotion into it, because I know there are many times that I've committed to certain things and then life happened, or, there was noise in my life and something that was important to me got shifted based on the priorities of the day. But remember, we always want somebody, even if they're just our customer, to have a great experience with us, because one, they're cataloging everything and every interaction with us in their brain to make sure that they're having a positive experience. And they're going to be, if you want them to duplicate this, or they decide to join your team, or you feel that they're right for your team and invite them on, you want them to remember the way that you interacted with them. So I would just say to Jess, totally cool, Jess. I get it. Things come up. This is really important. And I know how much you want to look at this too. So when do you think you'll have time to look at it? And I'll tell you, some of my sales have come from not only 8 follow-ups, but 12 follow-ups. 12, especially with busy doctors or nurse practitioners or people who are moving and shaking. I mean, it took my sponsor, who was a physician, 8 months to follow up with me successfully. But once he follow up, I got it. I ran with it. So sometimes people who are on your, chicken list, or when you're recruiting up, they might be a little bit more difficult to attract in the beginning. But once you have them on your team, they're going to go like gangbusters, because they already have that self-worth and that, high value for themselves. So if Jess tells me, I apologize, Julie, I can watch it tonight at 8:00, I will say, great. I'll call you at 8:30. So I'm just moving from one step to the next. But in time, I know we started a little bit later, I want to talk to you about some actual verbiage that I use. So can somebody maybe talk to me about an objection that they get and how I would posture myself against that? I'll try to do this on the fly. Anyone, what about a price objection? Do people get that a lot? Oh, it's expensive. And I love the way Ashley Hudson handles this. That's my favorite part, or that's the best part. But I like to say something like, yeah, you're right. There are a lot of cheaper items out there, but the truth is you'd be best to keep your money. My background, I was a supplement research nurse. So there's a lot of crap out there on the market. And I'll just say that, you can buy cheaper things, but many of them are falsely labeled, or they can cause more harm than good. Something where I'm not cheapening, I'm not begging them, oh, well, you need to look at this. I'll just simply state the facts and wait. Sometimes people need to ruminate on things and really think about, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Sometimes I'll say something like, a Rolex and a Swatch are both watches. You get what you pay for, and that is the truth. There's a lot of things out there that people can see as competitors, but I truly think we don't really have any competitors. A lot of times I'll get an objection on an auto ship. Right? People are like, oh, I don't want to be in an auto ship. Sometimes I'll say, fortunately ours is a very low cost compared with other kinds of businesses. Our monthly cost or overhead is blank. If I'm speaking to somebody about this, or I'll say, that is the best part, because you get the preferred customer price. It's always positive. So when you're posturing somebody, find a way to say what you need to say in a positive way. If someone tells me they don't have the time to do the business, I love feel, felt, found, and I do use that all the time. But I'll say, well, if you truly don't have time to do this, you may need at least something like what I have more than I thought, to kind of turn this around, because, what does our business do? I wouldn't say our business gives us necessarily time freedom, but it gives us time flexibility. And I like that. I don't have to ask anybody. Mine may not be a fit for you, but if I were you and I didn't have any time, I would suggest finding a way to generate residual income that will help free up some of your time, as none of us want to work our whole lives. putting that back to get them to think about things. I just wrote down some of the responses that I've given. Somebody who is not interested, totally cool, no problem. Do you know anyone who would like help making some extra money part-time if we showed them exactly how to do it? And I've used these things before because sometimes they won't respond to me the way that I want them to initially, but a couple weeks later, I'll get a text message that's asking me, can you share a little bit more about this? My sister's interested. Okay, sure. So remember, say what you need to say. Do not beg anybody. Remember to separate the invitation from the presentation. Don't give away anything without setting up a time to follow up with someone. That's the professional way to do things. One of my favorite, I love our objection guide, but I'll tell you one of my best purchases, and it was $12, is Ray Higdon's social media scripts. And it's fantastic. I don't know if any of you follow Ray Higdon or do rank makers or anything like that, but he's huge on posture. So is Simon Chan, so is Bob Heilig, some of these people that you can listen to their free podcasts or go on their free Facebook groups. But remember, when we are prospecting someone, every interaction that we have with them counts. And if it's not making you money or working towards making you money, or if it's not duplicatable, don't do it. Don't do it. You can teach your team to invite, and then bring in the presentation. But I would say that's the first skill if you want to build a big team that's actually moving, is to teach them how to invite and captivate their audience. Because that invitation process, and there's somebody that does it, and I almost feel like, is she on your team? She was at the Bear Creek Regional, and Tracy, is she on your team, or is she on Renee O'Neill's team? She is such a great inviter because she just does it with such enthusiasm that I'm like, whatever she's doing, I want to do it, because she just looks like she's having so much fun doing it. And so it's the enthusiasm and the smile and the energy behind, even if you're online, that's going to be more attractive. Your energy is what they're truly buying. And, Jessica even said that about me when she first met me. And I certainly didn't feel very confident when I first started you, especially in my business. I knew I needed to change. And actually that's why I was at the place that I was at. But I'm happy if I'm on Voxer, if you guys have a situation where, hey, how do I answer this in a postured way? I actually have a team chat where, sometimes we get hit with some sticky things like, oh my gosh, how do I answer this? And sometimes it's best when you ask your teammates because they're not emotionally attached. Hey, how should I answer this in kindness and in posture? That's really where we want to be coming from. And I don't want to keep your team on this call anymore. I know it's 8:43 and you guys have given me a lot of your time, but I'm definitely willing to help you to move through this so that you can stand strong and with posture.
Wow, Julie, well, thank you so much. I think people would stay on for hours longer to listen. I saw laptops out and notes were taken, but I 100% agree with everything that you're saying. And if you saw my copy of Get Over Your Damn Self, it's like shredded and highlighted and toured. I always have it out. I'm like, you see this? I'm not special. I just read and duplicate what other successful people do. And I think that's the message that I'm hearing from you, is that it's a simple business as long as you keep it simple. And as long as you just follow what other great people are doing in front of you. You don't need to do anything, outside the norm. You don't need to be a dietitian. You don't need to be a nurse, a physical therapist. But you do have to be coachable. And that's really why I wanted you to come on to this call, because you did this training at the Pajama Regional, and I've been implementing this into my business, and I've been sharing it with my team. And, when I look at my business and my team's business, I can see when they're doing this type of activity. Like, I can tell when somebody just read Get Over Their Damn Self, because it's like, okay, next, moving on. And there's no attachment to the outcome anymore. And so I just want to thank you so much. I do have one quick question. I would love to know, what are your favorite business videos that you share? Like, what's your go-to business video when you want to share it with a prospect? And do you have a favorite product video? Because I know everybody's dying to know. You kept us saying video, and we want to know, what is it?
And actually, I use old videos.
Okay.
And I have to say, one of my favorite videos is What is Juice Plus by Michelle Ball. It
Oh,
really is. And the only thing that's inaccurate about it is that we don't use mango anymore. But I love that it's so simple. And she just goes through and kind of bags all the questions that people have. Do you do your own research? What is this real fruits and vegetables? So what is Juice Plus? You have to search for it.
okay.
And then one of the business videos that I love is What If by Lauren Slocum.
Yes.
I love that because
Yeah.
it's emotional impact, especially when you're doing this with a female. Females are very moved by emotional impact, and I do love that Holly Morris video about the job interview, because so many times, we might have a job and say we really like our job, and then when I hear that, I remember as a nurse having to find my own coverage for a funeral, and I'm thinking, my grandpa just died, and why am I finding my own coverage? Like, I've worked here for 10 years, and I just started to realize, it started to help me to realize that, oh my gosh, I am a number here. I'm not a person. And the last thing that I'll say to you guys that my team does all the time is we have an Audible account as a team. And I purchase books, or some people purchase books, or give me the money to purchase them, and then as a team we all utilize that Audible because we use net time, which is no extra time. So when I'm cleaning, walking my dog, doing these things, I'm listening to Brene Brown, or Jen Cicero, or Get Over Your Damn Self, or some of these other books. And then, we talk about them as a team, or we implement some of those things. So use your no extra time, because I don't know about you, but after I had kids, my reading started to kind of go like this. At night I'm a little cross-eyed. But I'm in the car a lot. I have a 30-minute school run there and 30 minutes back. And so that's a way that I can be listening and doing personal development, because at those high levels, and I talked to Linda Evenden about this at length, that's what they're doing. A ton of personal growth, a ton. So if there's anything that you can do, invest in yourself first. Have a miracle morning where, you do your I am statements, your affirmations, or your prayer, whatever you do to get yourself in that right space, and then personal development, and then go out and touch your customers, because the energy that you're going to come from is going to be so much more attractive than coming from a place of lack.
Yeah.
And that's actually been, there's not something special that I say, it's something special that I'm becoming, because I know, and I know all of the women on here know, they know that they were made for more. It. You know that there's that person that's inside of you that you see glimpses of, but that she comes out, she's your superhero, she's that power that's inside of you. And that person is waiting to be challenged and developed. So keep taking steps in your own life. That will grow your business. If I'm scared to do something, I know I have to do it. That's the truth.
It's the truth. Yeah. Well, I think you have just given us such a gift tonight. So thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy woman.
You're welcome. I love you.
And I so appreciate it. So this has been recorded, everybody. So I know that you're going to want to go back and listen to it again and share it with others that weren't on the call tonight. But again, thank you so much, Julie. And I hope everybody has a great night. And we do have some events coming up this week, so make sure you're checking in on the Facebook page. All right. Awesome. Have a good night, guys. Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Julie. That was great.